Hampi was the capital of the Vijayanagara Empire, which ruled over almost the entire Deccan Plateau from the 14th to the 16th century AD. Numerous journals and chronicles left by Persian and European travelers, especially the Portuguese, speak volumes about the prosperity of the Vijayanagara Empire. Hampi was a prosperous, wealthy and grand city near the Tungabhadra river with numerous temples, settlements and trade centers. By 15th century, Hampi was the world's second largest medieval era city after Beijing, and in fact India's richest empire at the time, attracting traders from major parts of Middle East and Europe. Today we are visiting the HAZARARAMA temple located within the royal enclosure. The HAZARARAMA temple is specially dedicated to Lord Ram, Lakshman and Sita Devi. There are hundreds of sculptures and carvings depicting stories and scenes from the Ramayana over here. This temple was built in the early part of the 15th century by the then king of Vijayanagara Empire, Devaraya II. It was once the private temple for the royal family of the Vijayanagara Empire. The HAZARARAMA temple is a beautiful temple complex with a multitude of carvings with exquisitely designed columns and pillars. The temple is famous for the lovely bas relics and panels depicting the stories and scenes from the epic Ramayana. These relics are elaborate and among the finest ones to be found anywhere in India. During the Vijayanagara period, the 9 days of Navaratri festival used to be celebrated at Hampi with great pomp and show, and on the last day of Navaratri, which is Dasera, a huge procession would march through the magnificent city of Hampi in which almost everyone would take part. These relics on the exterior wall portray the Dasera processions where almost everybody participated, starting from the soldiers on foot, those mounted on horses and elephants, attendants of the event, traders from India and far-off countries, dancers and musicians, common citizens, and also members of the royal family. The 3D carvings on the wall depict different events which were organized during the festival period, such as the wrestling competitions, dance and music competitions, and several other sports events. One cannot just help admiring these 3D carvings on the walls with never-ending processions of soldiers, horses and elephants, pedestrians, dancers and musicians depicting the festive mood at the time. In today's age, we take photos and videos with a simple click to capture special events. In those days, it was recorded on stone with the effort of excellent craftsmanship. After taking a walk outside the wall, we entered the temple complex through the main entrance. The temple got its name HAZARARAMA, which means a temple with thousands of carvings from the Ramayana. It got this name owing to the diversity of the Ramayana carvings which spreads across the walls, pillars and through every corner of the temple. The HAZARARAMA temple can mesmerize anyone with its sheer beauty and artistry oozing from every corner. We proceeded towards the main sanctum of the temple. In front of the entrance to the sanctum, there are beautifully carved pillars. At regular intervals, carvings can be found depicting the scenes from the Ramayana. There are carvings of Ram, Lakshman and Sita everywhere, at times holding the bow and the arrows, or sometimes mounted on a chariot. The war scenes, the wedding of Ram and Sita, Jatayu's effort to save Sita, the coronation of Ram at Ayodhya and so on. The temple has engravings showing every detail from the Ramayana. In fact, the entire epic of Ramayana is carved over here on stone. We entered the main sanctum of the temple. There are 4 huge granite pillars inside with intricate carvings. The entire temple, both outside and inside, is a depiction of the epic Ramayana through a multitude of carvings and designs. Here we can see a carving on granite stone of Ram, Lakshman and Sita. We found this simply splendid. Another pillar here has a carving of Lord Krishna playing his flute. The temple not only has scenes from the Ramayana, but it also depicts carvings of different avatars of Lord Vishnu. We came to know from our guide earlier that HAZARARAMA temple was also the minting area for gold, silver and copper coins during the Vijayanagara period. These minted coins would be stored somewhere at the base of the temple. This round-shaped detached floor in front might have been a chamber for storing coins. While gazing at the temple wall made up of huge rocks, I wondered how they transported such heavy rocks and assembled them in proper alignment one after the other. There is not a single pillar or wall within the temple complex without delicate and intricate carvings. Like all other heritage sites of Hampi, much damages were inflicted onto this temple as well during the invasion by the Deccan Sultans. There are still burnt marks on some of the upper parts of the temple. Even after so much of loot and plunder, the sheer beauty and artistry of the temple could not be diminished. Every corner of the temple reflecting the grandeur and the marvel of what it used to be. We proceeded towards the rear side of the temple to find an open mandap adorned with neatly carved pillars. Standing on the open mandap, I gazed at the cluster of temples in front which are designed in the form of ancient vimanas or flying machines. Our ancient texts mentions a lot about vimanas, describing their ability to fly within the Earth's atmosphere and even in space. This might have been a water reservoir for use within the temple complex. One can find a network of water channels inside the complex. across something which looked like a giant-sized tap with a water storage area right beneath. We moved around admiring the efforts of the artists from the past, realizing the fact that our ancient temples are not merely carvings on stones which were meant solely for the purpose of worship. All these temples are history, where every brick and every stone has a story to tell.